Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the states. Some people remember there were 50 and some people remember there were 52. But I wanted to start off with that Peter, Paul, and Mary song about the great Mandela, which mentions, I- it sounds like it mentions Nelson Mandela when he starved himself, we thought, to death and died. But it also mentions the will of life. And it says here, Mandela is a Sanskrit word meaning circle or round. In a religious or spiritual context, it is a symmetrical representation of the universe. And the lyrics really captured my attention, she says. So I thought this was interesting. And if you want to read more about what she says, there's the web page. So I don't know if how you remember the states. How many states do you remember? How were the stars on the flag? Were there 50 stars lined up in order parallel, or were there 7 stars and then 6 stars that were offset, and then 7 again and 6 offset until there were 52 stars? Was Philadephia a state? Was Chicago a state? Maybe Boston or Denver? Was Baltimore a state? Was Minnesota a state? Or was it just the definition of Dakota? Was Franklin a state? Do you remember the teacher saying there were 50 states plus Alaska and Hawaii to make 52? Or do you remember her choosing the number 48 and saying 48 states plus Alaska and Hawaii to make a total of 50 states? Or does that sound like it doesn't really make sense to you? Why would she say 48 plus 2 when 50 plus 2 sounds more realistic to you? Do you remember as a child learning how many states there were and having several students in the class seem to have trouble learning it as there was a disagreement on whether there were 50 states or 52, and you wondering how so many of them could think it was different than what you knew was the truth? Perhaps that learning experience is not about who is right or who is wrong, but learning to accept that we have different opinions, and you don't have to be right, and accepting that you may be wrong and that you no longer need to debate to prove your point is the correct one, and that you could just let it go. Anyhow, beyond 50 states, American states that might have been. Transylvania might have been a state. I don't remember it, but there's the lost state of Deseret, Long Island, Transylvania, Texahoma, a lost Dakota. There's actually even a portion when they split it up, 2 Dakotas, north and south, and everyone understood there was an enormous parcel needed to be sliced up into states. There was Montana, Idaho, and then Wyoming, and then there's a portion of it that they called the Lost Dakota, and even today the land remains inaccessible. There's no road, not even a decent path, which, I wonder, maybe in your mind that was the state at one time. Um, Philadephia lost the nation's capital to Washington. It seems like, Philadelphia easily could have been a state because it was almost the capital of the United States. There were 8 forgotten capitals in the United States. One of them was Philadelphia, and another one was Baltimore. There were also Lancaster, York, Princeton. See, I thought that Philadelphia was a state when I was a child. Well, I guess I was 12 years old. We moved to Pennsylvania, and I remember when we were driving on the freeway and we saw a sign about Philadelphia, and I had thought Philadelphia was a state, and suddenly Philadelphia was in Pennsylvania, and I was arguing with my mother, going, how could Philadelphia be in Pennsylvania when Philadelphia is a state? And she was telling me that Philadelphia was not a state. So It really confused me. Chicago. Chicago is in Illinois, but a lot of people, if you mention them, if you mention the state of Chicago, they'll think it's a state. So people are drawing up a new USA and proposing the great state of Chicago. Two scholars have come up with a new United States, one that includes the area they dubbed Chicago. And that's interesting because it seems to me like Philadephia and Chicago easily could have been states. So I don't know, I don't know what you think were the other two states and what you remember. Do you remember Chicago being a city, or do you remember it being a state? See, in this right here, someone was right here. If this is a fact, then how much less money would come from the state of Chicago to the state of Illinois? I don't know why he wrote this in here, but you'll have to read that. It's a letter, the state of Chicago compared to the state of Illinois. So maybe it's just the state of things. I don't know. You could look it up and read it. It's in the Journal Star. Remembering more than you see. And this is a quote. It's called, it's wonderful to be here in the great state of Chicago. That title, a quote from Dan Quell. So it says, a state which I'm convinced was designed to be one giant corn maze. But Chicago's not a state. It says Illinois. It's in Illinois. Okay. Boston. The city-state of Boston. The rise and fall of an Atlantic power. The groundbreaking history of early American that shows how Boston built and sustained an independent city-state in New England before being folded into the United States. So that's also interesting. And the history of Minnesota. Now, do you remember Minnesota being state? Or was it not a state? When Europeans arrived in North America, the Dakota people lived in Minnesota. The word Minnesota comes from the Dakota name for Minnesota River, which got its name from one of the two words in Dakota, Minnesota, which means clear blue water or cloudy water. So was Minnesota a state? Anyway, I just find it interesting that some people remember 50 states and some people remember 52. So I'm wondering, what are the other two states that you remember? Do any of those states sound familiar to you? If they do, then please let me know, because I am extremely interested in what the other two states would have been in your recollection. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and please feel free to leave comments. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.